are 13 One Piece scenes that secretly predicted the future, and we're going to list them from most well-known to most hidden predictions, starting with this guy's power that turns his lies into reality. Back in Season 1, Ussopp was trying to impress his girl and lied about saving a giant whale from the North Blue. 80 episodes later, the Straw Hats did exactly that with Laboon the whale, who's from the North Blue. You also can't forget about the time he saw a goldfish poop out a turd bigger than an island. That's a pretty obvious lie, except it actually happened later on Little Garden Island, where these buffoons kill a giant goldfish that literally poops out an island. And those are some of his more tame lies. I mean, the dude claimed to meet the actual abominable snowman, but he decided to back up his words and met 2 of them on Punk Hazard Island. But it's not just his lies that come true. It seems like everything he does ends up happening in the future as well. Back when he was playing with his village friends, they played a game where they pretended to chase a Cerberus. Over 300 chapters later, a real-life Cerberus chased him around. And listen, that's pretty crazy, but not as crazy as the time One Piece secretly predicted the death of Ace, one of the most popular characters in the show. And this death is actually foreshadowed in Ace's full name. He has a pirate crew and they're called the Spade Pirates. This makes him Ace of the Spades. The foreshadowing here is that the Ace of Spades is considered the card of death. Looking at Ace's name, it's almost like his whole character was made just so he could die. But next on the list, we gotta talk about a scene so shocking that every One Piece fan was flabbergasted. A couple years ago, a scene of the anime came out where Momo mentioned he was just a baby when he met Gold D. Roger, the most famous pirate of all time. What confused all the fans is that Momo was 8 years old when he said this, but Roger had died about 24 years ago, 16 years before Momo was even born. Some fans thought One Piece's creator had made a mistake, while others assumed Momo was just lying. And this remained a mystery for over 3 years until around 2021. In the last season, One Piece dropped the bombshell that Momo is actually a time traveler. You see, it turns out that he was born when Roger was alive, but he was sent 20 years into the future by someone who ate a devil fruit with time-traveling powers. Oda is really out here hiding important information hundreds of episodes before it's actually relevant. Now that was pretty hidden, but let's step things up by going into the next level of hidden foreshadowing. These are the moments that pretty much nobody noticed. And first, we have to talk about the tiny detail that showed a connection between Luffy and the Pirate King. It all started when this old dude met Luffy for the first time and said something that subtly revealed one of the biggest twists of the series. He commented on how Luffy's straw hat suits him, which everyone took as a reference to Shanks, the guy who owned the straw hat before Luffy. But it wasn't until years later that we learned the real reason behind Rayleigh's comment. In chapter 532, when Rayleigh said bye to Luffy, it triggered the flashback of when Roger and Rayleigh first met, and as you can see, Roger's wearing the iconic straw hat. We all thought Rayleigh was talking about the previous owner, but all along he was talking about the previous owner. Listen, that is some pretty freaky foreshadowing, but let's bring it up a notch and talk about Luffy's dad. Way back in 2006, there was this anime special that showed the Straw Hats as mythical animals, and guess what Luffy was? A dragon. This directly referenced Luffy's dad's name of Monkey D. Dragon, a whole year before his name was revealed in the anime. So yeah, One Piece takes predicting the future to the next level, and this next scene is an even better example. When Nami was getting beaten up, a pirate named Lola came to her aid and helped her win. They became best friends, and Lola mentioned that Nami could reach out to her mother whenever she needed help. None of the fans thought anything of this, but it turns out that Lola's mom is a Yonko, one of the meanest and deadliest pirates in the entire One Piece story. Lola's full name is Charlotte Lola, the daughter of Charlotte Linlin, aka Big Mom. When that relationship was revealed, everybody went crazy, but not as crazy as they went for the next bit of foreshadowing, because Sanji took predicting the future so far that it literally broke the internet. Back in the day, there was one scene in the anime that had everybody arguing. It was such a heated topic that friendships were ending, and it was all about Sanji's royalty. Today, we all know that Sanji is a prince, but only 3 years ago, it wasn't so clear. The first hint fans got was that Sanji used the name Mr. Prince when he went undercover, and everybody thought this was foreshadowing his royal blood. But even before that, Sanji gave us a huge hint when he mentioned he was from the North Blue. What makes this so odd is that it's nearly impossible to leave the region of the North Blue unless you have insane technological skills, something only royalty would have. The final straw was Sanji's new wanted poster. His poster said "Wanted Alive," and fans came up with a theory that because Sanji was a prince, the Marines didn't want to kill him. And after years of speculation, One Piece revealed that Sanji Sanji is part of the evil Vinsmoke family, a royal family from the North Blue. Even though he did his best to hide it, the fans discovered his secret well before One Piece revealed it. Listen, after that bit of foreshadowing, I really need to step things up, so let's talk about one of the most hidden foreshadowing moments in One Piece. Back in episode 5, Luffy was talking to this dog, and if it was your first time watching, this didn't seem like anything special. And it wasn't until over 500 episodes later that we all realized this scene had been predicting the future, because it turned out that Luffy has the ability to hear all things, even the thoughts of animals. The reason 99% of people don't know this is because Luffy can only hear the thoughts of animals while his crewmate can actually talk with animals, causing Luffy's hidden talent to be overshadowed. Man, I feel bad for Luffy, but I feel even worse for Oda because his brain must be hurting after coming up with this next bit of foreshadowing. See, in chapter 583, Luffy had a flashback where we all learned about Sabo, his brother who died as a child, but later on in the story, in chapter 731, we learned that he actually never died. And here's where Oda's crazy genius comes in. All the way back in chapter 98, before Luffy's flashback about Sabo ever happened, you can see Sabo hiding in a crowd, proving that he's still alive. That's right, Oda foreshadowed Sabo's comeback 500 chapters before the fans even learned that Sabo existed. He's a genius. But let's talk about the time that Doflamingo predicted the future with just one phrase. In season 11, Doflamingo was working with a couple guys who were running an illegal auction. The ringleader called Doflamingo at one point and told him that the auction was a bust. Doflamingo's response to this foreshadowed the future, but at the time, none of the fans knew it.
You fool. Huh? It's all about the smiles now. You understand?
This line was the most controversial thing on the internet when the episode first came out. Reddit forums, fan pages, and comment sections, everybody was wondering what smiles meant. One fan theory proposed that Doflamingo was talking about Smiley, a beast created from poisonous gas. The idea was that Doflamingo wanted to buy and sell creatures like that. Another way dumber theory pushed the idea that Doflamingo was just talking about his smile on his face. I think that one was clearly wrong. These fan theories and many others stayed unproven, and we had to wait 4 whole years before we found out the answer. Doflamingo was actually referring to smiles, man-made devil fruits. Up until episode 625, devil fruits grew naturally on trees and bushes, but Doflamingo knew that this guy was working on a crazy science experiment called the SAD formula. Once he succeeded, the formula allowed people to combine animal properties with regular fruits and changed One Piece forever. Okay, we're down to the 3 most hidden times that One Piece foreshadowed the future, and we can't go any further without talking about what I call Rayleigh's foreshadowing. Because in episode 19, the anime showed one of Buggy's flashbacks, and it seemed innocent enough. It showed Buggy and Shanks arguing as kids, but it's the guy who broke up the fight who's interesting. His name is Rayleigh, and he's a member of Gold D. Roger's crew, the most powerful pirate in the world. And that fight between Buggy and Shanks happened on Roger's ship. Now, where's the foreshadowing? Well, Rayleigh, the guy who broke up the fight, was the Pirate King's first mate, something the fans wouldn't find out for another 10 years. Oda's really flexing on us. 10 years before we would learn that Rayleigh was Roger's first mate, Oda was already sneaking in little hints. At number 2, let's switch things up and talk about the time Luffy predicted the past. After destroying this guy in a fight, Luffy was asked where he was headed next, and he just pointed up and said he was going to the sky. And this wasn't just another inspirational moment. Luffy was unintentionally recreating a scene before One Piece ever started. See, a flashback in episode 967 revealed that the Pirate King did the exact same thing when his crew asked him where he was going next. Okay, this next one may be the craziest foreshadowing in the entire video, but it does have a bit of a spoiler, so watch out. See, the manga revealed that Luffy actually has the sun god Zoan fruit, which gives him the power to do anything he can imagine. But Luffy only received the power during a fight against Kaido, and this made people think that Oda only gave Luffy that power so he could defeat his enemy. In other words, this new power was just crappy writing, but everyone's wrong about that because Oda has been hinting at this for hundreds of chapters. Like this panel of the Straw Hats dancing way back in chapter 253. Luffy dancing looks just like the sun god Nika, the inspiration for the devil fruit's powers. Oda even let everyone know that this was his favorite panel so that people would take a closer look and find the hidden detail. An even better example is chapter 855 when Luffy finds out he can stretch infinitely long. We all know that rubber can't actually do that, so there had to be another power at play. And if that's not enough, just look at Luffy's Red Hawk power. Everyone just accepted that the friction from the speed of Luffy's punch caused this fire, but in hindsight, how could we not tell that Luffy had a lot more than just rubber powers? I mean, the dude used a fire punch underwater. And speaking of water, the way Luffy's body worked underwater was also a huge red flag. Every other devil fruit user loses all control of their power in water, but Luffy's body can still stretch even while he's completely submerged. Oda was just dangling these clues right in front of our faces and none of us spotted. But there are a ton more hidden moments inside One Piece. Click this video to learn about all the One Piece Easter eggs you probably missed.